Good morning. Welcome to Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell. We got coaching stuff to talk about. We got a firing at Kentucky. I guess that's what now, 6 head coaching changes in the SEC for football. We got more Lane Kiffin talk. We got Josh Heupel, perhaps, maybe or maybe not, on the move to Penn State. Lots of stuff to talk about this morning. We'll take your questions, your comments, and your super chats. And Blake will also tell you about our friends at GameTime Sidekicks who make my lovely 40-ounce water tumbler.
Well, that's nice. They're nice people, so I'm not surprised that they are making these fine products over there at GameTime Sidekicks, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school, over 350 more universities as well. Get your cups. They got the sippy cups, the tumblers, 40-ounce shaker. They got it all. What are we talking about? You guys know the drill by now. They got everything you need over there to get you ready for your favorite game, your favorite show. Southeastern 16, we know, is number one there for you. But you can use our code SC16 for 20% off over at GameTime Sidekicks. SC16, 20% off over at GameTimeSidekicks.com. You guys jumping in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. We are talking SEC coaching moves. Of course, we did a 2-hour show yesterday on all the chaos that was Sunday, talking about Lane Kiffin, Alex Golish, Ryan Silverfield, John Sumrall, a little bit more Josh Heupel, which we'll talk about more here, Pete Golding, now the coach at Ole Miss. So if you missed the 2-hour show, plenty to keep you occupied there as well. So, all right. Chris, we're going to start, though, with Kentucky. And unfortunately for Corey, I don't think Lane Kiffin's coming to Kentucky, although there's nothing I'd enjoy more than having another Lane Kiffin coaching search in the same offseason. But Mark Stoops out at Kentucky. I can't say that is a big surprise, Chris. Don't think it's a big surprise here.
No, but the timing on of it is awful. Feels like to me maybe should either made the decision a few weeks ago or just kept him. I mean, I guess that's easy to say. Kentucky had been playing super well, just got destroyed at Vanderbilt and then didn't show up for a rivalry game. So I guess I get it. Maybe it's bad luck more than bad planning because I've said for a while I didn't think Mark Stoops was a bad coach. He's been there 13 years. He's won more than he's lost at a place that had been losing more than it won in the years before he got there. So I didn't think Stoops did a bad job there. I understand how it kind of got stale. I understand how they couldn't find any kind of offense or coordinating continuity. So I get it. I just think their timing on this one, Blake, was particularly poor.
Yeah, the chat brings that up a bit here. And, you know, as Shane talks about here, yeah, that is part of the thing, per the reports, the 60-day payout provision or whatever. So I know that, you know, is something that is certainly notable in this situation. You know, I think just again, as everyone's kind of noting here on the way this thing fell in terms of the timing of it all, right? I think that's kind of the big thing is, like you said, just, I mean, as Lauren brings up, like Sumrall was obviously, Chris, if we talked about this a couple months ago and we're just playing connect the dots on the SEC coaching carousel, how many of us would have said, all right, John Sumrall makes more sense than anyone out there for Kentucky, just based on everything, right? I mean, he would have been the obvious first name you would have thrown on the board. I'm sure we mentioned his name multiple times on this channel. You can go back and watch. So, yes, I think that the timing of it all is now where I think you're going to look at this and wonder, you know, in terms of how this thing plays out, right? Every hindsight's 20/20, but no matter who they hire, if you're a Kentucky fan, you're always going to look back at this and be like, well, what if we made this decision then, or then, you know, would we have John Sumrall and if he goes wins at Florida and all that? And look, Sam, I'm not saying if the two choices were available, if he had them both right now, would he take Kentucky or Florida? I'm saying the timing, he could have taken Kentucky before maybe Florida turned to him, because I don't know that John Sumrall was option number one for Florida. So I think that's the argument that you could make here.
Right. Well, and he'd played at Kentucky. He had a loyalty and an affinity to his old school. For some people that counts for something. For some people that counts for nothing. For most people, that loyalty is somewhere in between in how you weigh things. So I suspect Sam's right, but had the cards been played differently, or maybe the timeline gone differently, some of that under Kentucky's control, some of that because of this stupid calendar issue we have with the NCAA, I do wonder how that would have potentially played out, Blake.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact number on what is it? I know for Stoops, what the buyout approximately $37.7 million per Brandon Zimmerman. That's what top 5 buyout in college football history. I think it is, Chris. Is the number there? But again, the way the whole thing will play out, we'll talk more about that in a second. But I'm curious for the Kentucky fans in the crowd. The way you're looking at this, like, give us your thoughts. And yeah, I think that it is kind of one where, look, as Jim says here, longtime viewer of the channel, Jim in Arlington, thought Kentucky was never going to fire him due to the buyout. And I think that's the thing. It's like the way you're working through this, I think is Nick brings it. I mean, that's just kind of where we are in the process. You got to let the process play out now, but all eyes for Kentucky turn to who's going to be the next head coach. And I don't know, Chris. There may be time to reflect on Stoops' legacy, and you're welcome to do that. But I know everyone is just more focused right now on, hey, who are we going to hire based on where we are in the calendar, and knowing kind of the importance of making a hire pretty quick here.
I have a question. What have the buyouts been to coaches this year fired in the SEC in like the last 5 years? The numbers have just gotten astronomical. Like, I remember one time when paying somebody $5 or $6 million to buy out a contract felt like an obstacle. Now that's cheap.
Yeah, and that's why, again, it's no surprise, again, when you talk about where this ranks, no surprise where this will rank historically. And if I could get ESPN to pull this thing up, I can give you the exact way this thing is played out. So let's see here. So Stoops is owed 75% of his remaining salary, which is approximately $37.7 million, does fall within the top 5 in college football history, 4 of which have come this year. Brian Kelly, $54
for the winningest
million.
coach in the history of your program.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And again, I understand it. It had not been going well lately. The product had gotten stale and boring. Like, if you're going to be bad, at least be good on offense. And Kentucky has it. Like, I understand all the reasons, but I do wonder if paying that cost for moving on to the next guy, like, okay, I don't know. There's not a guy in waiting with a track record that you're like, okay, I know if we bring in and plug in this guy, not that anything's a guarantee, but at least if you have a guy that is won at a big level, another place, you have a little more certainty. Feels like the guys they are looking at, well, I shouldn't say that. Dan Mullen's on their list, depending on what you think of Dan Mullen. But I'm just saying you're paying $36 million-ish in the hopes that you can get a guy who's won more than the guy you just got rid of. And again, I understand it, but it's a weird place to be in.
But I think it's if you have gotten to the point with a guy that you know that he is not your guy to get you where you want to be long term, I don't think you can just punt the next season, especially with all the coaching moves that have been made this offseason. And I think that's where Kentucky, and that's where I understand the frustration with the timing of it all, is just the fact that, yes, by waiting to this point, I mean, we did a 2-hour show yesterday on all the dominoes that fell. And one of your guys, who would have been the top one on your board, and John Summerall, I would say for most people, is now at a rival. And I think that's, so to me, I'm like, I'd rather probably, if you're Kentucky and you feel like you've hit a wall, and let's say we feel like our ceiling as a program is, I don't know, based on all these other moves, maybe it's 5 wins, maybe it's 6 wins next season. I don't know. But if that's the case, I'd rather take the risk on the new guy and just say, all right, let's give it a shot because at least it's kind of something fresh and let's see what happens. But I just, and we can't forget, Chris, too. Remember this. And I know we're beyond it now, but like the whole A&M thing also, I think, rubbed people the wrong way. And I think just to not have any sort of bounce back and to have some of the back and forth since then, it was going to be a tough spot for him. If he came back, I think that's a no-win situation for either party because I would not have projected Kentucky probably, and we'd have to see what the roster looked like. I just don't know how you could have projected them to be a team next year that you felt like was going to just make a drastic improvement, maybe based on all the other moves that have happened out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the right answer was, but I think Phil said it best. Like it's the ultimate between a rock and a hard place situation. I mean, I say that maybe they got an ace up their sleeve with an up and coming coordinator, as other schools have been able to make those kind of hires, and it worked extremely well. And this is all okay. I mean, I don't know, but it just what a weird situation all the way around.
Yeah, and just to add one more, I'll finish the top 5. Yeah, top 5 in college football history, 4 of which this year. Brian Kelly was $54 million, James Franklin $49 million. Of course, that was reduced when he took the Virginia Tech job. Jonathan Smith, he got fired yesterday, right? $33 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about that. Like
Jonathan Smith had a $33 million buyout?
$33 million buyout at Michigan State. That's wild.
Man.
So, yeah. Again, just that's why, like, we can talk about the money and are they ever going to pay it, but like it's showing right now, if you want to make that move, you can find a way to make that move usually. And I know people too in the chat, and of course, Chris, this is an interesting one where it comes to if we're talking about NIL distribution and all this other stuff. And by the way, one feisty tiger did ask, are we having a basketball stream today? Yeah, right after this, we go straight to power rankings for basketball. So Max will probably be setting that up shortly. Turn on your notifications and all that. But I mean, it is like Kentucky's an interesting one, Chris, and I can't even sit here and tell you that I know all the ins and outs of the percentages that are dealt to basketball and football and all that. Probably some people in the chat can tell us, more, but we understand when it comes to the NIL distribution and everything and what you're getting for basketball there. I mean, we bantered around the $22 million roster and all that for months.
Do we think that's real?
I mean, look, I don't have the sheet. I can't tell you if it's 22 million, but I can tell you that there are certain players that I feel with a 99% confidence are getting a certain amount, at least in a range. And if you start to add together, you can see how it gets to 22 million pretty quickly.
Well, and look, to be clear, we were living in an uncapped year. If you played your cards right, like you could front load that with the old system, and then use revenue share to do this year's. And so you could have, you could have technically paid a basketball roster $100 million this year if you did it before July the 1st or whatever the date was. So maybe two things can be true at once. So
probably. But as far as candidates go, I mean, I think the two names you're seeing mentioned the most, Will Stein, Oregon, offensive coordinator. You've got Brian Hartline, the Ohio State offensive coordinator. Those seem to be the two names that most people are putting at the top of the list in terms of making sense potentially. You mentioned Dan Mullen, seen his name thrown around out there. I have seen people throw around Brian Kelly's name out there. I'm not saying I think that would be the right move, but I've seen his name bantered about. Thoughts on the potential pool of candidates for Kentucky, Chris?
Neither Dan Mullen or Brian Kelly are the most likable guys, but they've won a lot of football games. Florida thought it had a slam dunk with getting rid of Mullen and bringing in Billy Napier, who didn't do nearly as well as Mullen did. Schedule was tougher, so that's fair to mention, but it still wasn't that close. Brian Kelly's won a lot of football games. I don't know when's the last time Brian Kelly had a horrible team. I couldn't tell you. I feel like the high floor guys who've won a lot, guys get overlooked for the new shiny object. Which I'm not throwing shade here at Brian Hartline or Will Stein. They may be, either of those guys could be the guys hired, and they could be the next, end up being the greatest coaches in Kentucky football history. But one's 36 and one's 39, and we don't know. And again, you've seen guys, with track records of winning games that come places and it doesn't work. But I don't know, maybe the Kelly or the Mullen things. I mean, you could do, like, if you told Kentucky 3 years ago, we're going to be hiring Brian Kelly in 2026. I guess that's an unfair way to put it, because there've been 3 years of history since. But it's not like LSU was just uncompetitive under his watch.
Well, a name to keep an eye on, I would say, and I don't, Kentucky fans, you can weigh in on this. I'm only throwing this name out there because of the trends we see. If you are somehow, again, breathing the same air that a Nick Saban or Kirby Smart has breathed over the years, I think he's always going to be someone on the list, and that's Glenn Schumann. We've talked about him for some of the other jobs. I don't think that would be the worst idea. But, I mean, you talk about kind of the age. I feel like it's kind of one right now where I do think if you're Kentucky, I'd be okay with just saying, you know what, let's go try to get the up-and-coming guy. Glenn Schumann's 35. I mean, Will Stein is, 36? Is that right? You mentioned Hartline is, did you say 39? I don't
39.
remember exactly. Yeah. I'd be okay with taking a shot on that, because I feel like you're in an era now where, like we said, and we mentioned this yesterday with Lane Kiffin, and well, don't worry, folks. We got to talk about Lane Kiffin today. We will. But it's kind of one of those where the first question you're going to ask is, how much money am I getting to build my roster? And I think, again, that number compared to some of the other SEC schools may be a little lower. But I think you want to take a shot, I feel like, on one of these rising guys. And if you get it wrong, then is it that much different than if you would have just stayed with Stoops and it just, you kind of just puttered along and you're just kind of like, all right, well, we're not getting anywhere. I mean, I think you take the shot here and you see if one of these coordinators can all of a sudden become the next big thing. Because guess what? We've seen those guys do that before. We've seen people make hires where all of a sudden these guys turn into the next big thing. And if you get it right, hey, great. Your program's set for the next however many years. If you get it wrong, then I don't know. I mean, are you just kind of, are you any that much worse off than you were before? I don't know. It just depends.
I'm going to throw out an in-between option I've seen pop up at a couple of places. Sports Illustrated mentioned this guy. I think Kentucky 24/7 did too on their private board. If you're looking for an in-between, a guy who's a head coach and a little younger, a little more energy maybe, and not as young as Stein and Hartline. What about PJ Fleck at Minnesota? Like, is that a name that's out there for a reason, or is that a name that's out there because you know what agents do? I get that he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's won pretty consistently. Your facial expression, you're not buying it.
I feel like
not going to row the boat this morning, Blake.
I'd rather take the chance on the up and comer
versus
him right now. I think, yes, like, it's hard to believe, and this is where, like, guys, if you want to feel old, no matter what age you are, PJ Fleck took the Minnesota job in 2017.
I can't believe he's been there that long.
That is how long he's been there. Sean's just over here, just
95 and 86.
Sean just eviscerating Chris right now on his projected hires here. I don't think he would be my guy. I think I'd put him down. Those three guys I mentioned, whether it's Stein, Hartline, I should get Stein and Hartline. That's a great shirt. But Glenn Schumann, I would, even Kane Womack. Someone mentioned Kane Womack. I'd rather take the chance on those guys, to be honest with you. But there will be people who disagree. I know the guy's won every bowl game he's played in.
Explain something to me. How is it, like, the unknown. Like everybody gets excited about the young guy who's been a coordinator who's never been a head coach. You throw out names of guys who've been to playoffs and won titles and all kind, and they're like, no, we don't want this guy.
But
The new shiny object always wins the coaching shirts. It seems like I am more. To me, I look more at floor, I guess, than most people do, and track record. I don't get it.
No,
maybe it's just the age of social media and clips and people needing to feel excited about a personality in the moment. But I mean, people are killing me in the chat here for bringing up names. I'm like, these guys have won a lot of games. I mean, you like to win, right? The object of football is to win games. The best indicator that you can win games is you've won games. What am I missing here?
You know what? I think Max Barr would be the best candidate. We got out with the old, in with the new here at Kentucky. Barr. That's what you're looking for.
I like Max.
I think he'd be great. By the way, Max and I, Chris, you don't know this. Max and I are restarting our video stream, our video game season stream. At some point, I think this week or next week, and I think we're going to start with NCAA football, and we got to pick a team to coach here. So yeah, I'm surprised Chris hasn't mentioned Mac Brown. Chris, what do you think about him?
Over. Hey,
did they pick Mac Brown? Is he the next coach?
Belichick.
What about Bill Belichick? My goodness. All right, people throwing out Jeremy Pruitt. Chris is going to probably suggest Billy Napier here in a second.
The bones of
really
Bear Bryant.
Riled up. Jay Greason. All right, but Dylan's right. I think we talked about Bob Chesney was someone. Sam said yesterday we were talking about UCLA. I think. Yeah. So exactly how you doing. This is exactly the way it should be. He says, no, Chris, they like to get excited about young candidates until they get fired. Then they get excited about another one. That's more fun. Absolutely it is. So
the chat is bringing it today.
Oh, gosh. John Gruden would take the job if offered. Let me just make that very clear. If John Gruden was offered the Kentucky job, he'd 100% take it. But I don't know. My guess is you're going to more see the up-and-comer unless, I don't know, I guess.
Hey, I like
PJ Fleck decides to row the boat to Lexington.
Couch O. Is that like a hybrid between Tim Couch and Ed Ogeron?
Maybe. So
that's my guy right there.
Now they're calling you Mitch Barnhart. Well, you're in trouble now. All right. Chat, here's what we want you to do. We always do this. Give us your prediction. Who's going to be the next head coach of the Kentucky football Wildcats? Give us your prediction. I know a lot of people, Will Stein getting a big bump there from a lot of people in the chat. I mean, this is a good one too, and maybe we can segue into this. We'll talk more about Kentucky, and we'll bring up your question or your choices here in a second. But what is Penn State doing at this point? Like, are we just waiting on? Are we trying to sign Josh Heupel away, and that's what we're waiting on? But oh god, someone mentioned Trent Dilfer. Oh no, do not go that route.
No.
Anyways, let's talk about that for a second.
Penn State may be stealthily chasing a name. I've heard.
Who is the name? Is it PJ Fleck?
I don't think this would happen. I've heard there's interest in Marcus Freeman.
Well,
what?
They're willing to wait a long time.
Wait, was that like?
No,
yeah.
I'm saying
I don't think I would. If I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm not leaving Penn State for.
No. That was they're going to be waiting a while.
They're running for Penn State. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Like we talked about this yesterday, okay? And by the way, the updated what is this thing called? I can never get it right. Kalshi? Is that what it's called?
I guess.
Just for the record, we said this thing changes by the minute, okay? And so remember, it's not like an actual this isn't a FanDuel betting odd or something. Josh Heupel's down to 9% now. Kalani Sitake is at 26%. Bob Chesney is now the favorite, 27%. Remember, this is just on the betting market in terms of Penn State on this Kalshi thing. Brian Daboll is at 13%. Jeff Brom, 9%. Heupel's at 9% too. So, I mean, do we think there's anything to this?
Sam said earlier in the chat that not going anywhere, more or less.
Well, I don't think he is either. But, I mean, I can't see that happening. But stranger things have happened, I guess. I also didn't think a man would be tweeting from his dog's account during the middle of an SEC rivalry offer, but we had that happen too.
The Heupel Penn State thing feels like, I got mad. I spite broke up with my girlfriend and asked somebody out 10 minutes later kind of move.
I don't see it. All right, you want to make your final prediction on Kentucky head coach? We try to do this, and we always get it wrong, so this pretty much guarantees that someone else is going to get hired. I'll put some in the chat as we go through here.
Ryan Hartline. I mean, as much as I sort of talked down the young, exciting options, a lot of those guys have worked, in all seriousness. Hartline's got connections. His brother is an analyst there. And also his brother played quarterback there. There's in that Ohio State and Kentucky are kind of recruiting, in their backyard, the same-ish region. So recruiting ties to that area makes sense. I mean, that's the one that feels like it makes maybe the most sense.
Yeah, I like that one too. I think that would be number one on my list of like the possibilities. Yeah, I agree with Alan. I think that's right up Barnhart's out. But I also think that someone mentioned earlier, like Dan Mullen, I also think is right up.
I was going to ask you, if you had to pick a recycle option, is Mullen? I mean, I know Mullen's kind of
I would go with Dan Mullen.
Jerk, but
I get it.
But he's won a lot of football games.
He's got the experience. The guy will get players, and I think I'd take a chance on him if you had to go that route. I would take him over Brian Kelly. Honestly.
I mean, if you hire Dan Mullen, and I think I would too, if you hire Dan Mullen, I don't think you're going, 2-10, 3-9, 4-8, with offenses scoring 18 points a game.
No. Listen,
Chris, you're probably going to be fun to watch.
If you're going to lose and be entertaining at it. Like, don't just lose and be boring. That's the worst thing you can do in college football these days, or any sport. Like, if you're going to lose, and it's going to take a little bit to win more games, at least be entertaining at losing. Don't be boring. That's all we ask.
Okay, EJ says Mullen is not going to Kentucky. He's waiting for a bigger job. Okay, a lot of big jobs have been open. I have not seen him on people's boards. I mean, what is your bigger option at this point? Penn State? Waiting for something to open after, somebody somewhere leaves for the NFL after this season? I mean, what are the bigger job options here? Penn State's one. Let's say let's go crazy because that's what the world is. Let's say that Steve Sarkisian leaves for the NFL or something. I don't think Texas is hiring Dan Mullen.
No. I think that's the one to keep an eye on, is the Steve Sarkisian one. We can't forget about that one. Like, that is still a big domino that can fall. And remember, that's not just contained to the Texas job. That will be other jobs included because you'll have Texas is going to hire someone of a high caliber, which could lead to the more domino effects. So,
yeah.
But we don't know. So, all right. We're going to do a little bit of a reset here. We still got some stuff we got to get to. Remember, Chris, don't forget, if you guys want to stick around to the end of the show, yesterday, at the end of our 2-hour show, Chris proposed the idea of us drafting up a response from Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin via ChatGPT. And so I did somewhat sing a diss track, but we found one that's a little bit angrier, and so we're going to use that one at the end of the show. It's called Bayou Backstabber. So yours truly will attempt to rap that at the end of the show. I'm not going to rap it. I'll sing it, but I'm not going to rap it.
You're going to sing.
Wait around for that. What a hook that is right there if you want to stick around to the end of the show. But, all right, let's keep moving along here. Chris, you want to address this one here real quick?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good point. Hartline is, you know how this goes in the business. A guy that's a coordinator, let's say Ohio State, wins the national championship, which that's my pick right now, if I'm making one, and maybe Julian Sayin wins the Heisman, do you sit it out another year and say, hey, I'm going to try to get a bigger job in Kentucky? Mm-hmm. But there are ties to Kentucky. I think that makes it a little different. And then somebody brought up Will Stein. Stein spent time at Louisville, but allegedly, family ties to Kentucky, which is kind of weird. So I guess there's some split loyalties there. Maybe I don't know. I may be speaking out of turn there, but I mean Stein's a guy that would excite a lot of people. OC at Oregon, 36. They've developed Dylan Gabriel. They're doing work now with more.
I mean, look what Liam Cohen became. Like, remember how hot of a name he was when he was at Kentucky, and I think went and tried the NFL thing, came back, and now he's with the Jags. And honestly, I think has exceeded some expectations there in year one. I think that's what you're looking for if you're Kentucky. Like, remember the energy and the excitement that you felt like that guy brought to the program. And I feel like that's what you're looking for right now. Like,
is there a reason his name is not coming up on hot boards?
What's that?
Is there a reason his name is not coming up on hot boards?
Well, I mean, he's not going to lead the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars to come back to school, I don't think. He's getting paid plenty of money by the Cons there. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. I think he is made in the NFL right now. And again, he's done better than some people expected that he would. He's just an offensive guru, which I think is what you're looking for if you're Kentucky. So, anyways, all right, let's do a quick ad read here because boy, that's what we're looking for here on the channel. And by the way, there's another scenario they could play. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Chris, let real quick before we do the ad reads from Lauren here. Do you think there's any scenario where DeBoer is out at Alabama this offseason?
Absolutely.
Still, right now, you think it? I mean, if let's say they lose to Georgia, all right, do we think Alabama's getting the playoff?
First of all, it's Alabama. Second of all, Penn State fired a coach 2 weeks removed from being in the top 5 and 10 months removed from being a college football playoff semifinalist. Yeah. I mean, you lose to Georgia and don't look. I think Alabama gets in the playoff even if it loses to Georgia. I think it should. It might be borderline, but and it might also depend on like what happens with BYU and Texas Tech. But yeah, I mean, could you not see either a quick trigger or more likely just him saying, "Hey, look, I see the writing on the wall. I'm resetting the clock somewhere else." But I mean, if you're Penn State, that's also a gamble. I mean, the timelines are awful. But if you think maybe you could get DeBoer, waiting a few days to see what happens if they lose the title game. But then, but if he wins and Alabama always beats Georgia in that game, as you know, then you've left yourself without a coach for a long. Here's what I'd like to know: if you're Penn State, you have the James Franklin firing to do over again. Do you do it over again?
Depends on who you hire.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Hartline was a big candidate at Penn State, and I think a segment of the boosters didn't like the hire for whatever reason. Maybe it's Ohio State. I don't know, but he was, from what I was told, in the mix there for a while until a faction of people said, "No, it's not the direction we'd like to go."
All right. Well, the direction I would like to go in is I'd like to buy all of you fine people in the chat right now some fine jewelry. Every single one of you. And I'm going to do it over at the Yearly Company. Just kidding, guys. I can't do that. I don't make that kind of money. I'm sorry. We're not quite to that level.
Be a little
you
weird
can help us
too.
get there. Leave us a nice super chat, and maybe I can help you with some jewelry. But you know what? I'd like to. That's the thought that counts this holiday season.
Buy some for Holly.
But if you want some fine jewelry, head over to the Yearly Company, Nashville-based fine jewelry. That's how you know it's fine. And solid 14 karat gold, natural gemstones, backed by a lifetime guarantee. every yearly company Bengal custom size, as you already know. And so you got to know that size. If you're out there trying to do some holiday shopping, it's December. You're running out of time here, folks. You better get to it now. You can use our code SC16KIT for 100% off the sizing kit. Got to know the size. That's the most important step. Get to it now. SC16KIT, 100% off over the yearly company. Get a free sizing kit straight from them. The greatest people on earth outside of you guys, the yearly company there. Also, the greatest people on earth. Yes, we can all be one big group here at ROKFORM. ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. Head over there for a nice 25% off at checkout. SEC25, 25% off over at ROKFORM. All right. Vol State has joined in. Steak is telling us that the defense there for the Vols, soft as Tylenol cotton. So, yeah, not too thrilled about that, Vol State. I know Steak. All right, a couple of things.
Well, were any phones thrown at Lane Kiffin? Did you see the plane video yesterday?
I did see the plane video. We're going to talk about Kiffin in a second. Don't worry. We didn't forget about, we didn't forget about Lane. Sam, don't worry. Again, if you're jumping in late, folks, we still got basketball to do today. We got power rankings coming up. Me and Max will be on in about 25 minutes. We're going to do power rankings, and then we will do some preview stuff. All right? It's been a big football several days here. Basketball's coming. Don't worry. We'll talk about the basketballers. All right. Let's talk about Lane. What else do you want to talk about with Mr. Kiffin? We did see the stuff yesterday. We were going through in this 2-hour show live and talking about everything. So, Chris, we did get some notes on the staff, and that was something that we were kind of waiting on. So the full list, I guess, of guys who are leaving, I had it here. It's on one of my 28 tabs somewhere. Hold on. Let me find it. So I guess one of the main talking points here, it sounds like expected to retain Blake Baker. Does that sound right?
At LSU?
Yes.
That would be big.
Per the Advocate, LSU is expected to strongly consider, all right, strongly consider, and now I got pop-up ads everywhere. They're going to consider something, I'll tell you that. But they're going to consider retaining defensive coordinator Blake Baker.
Buy time.
And well, it's what we do here.
Right.
And other defensive coaches amid the transition. The only defensive coach who came with Kiffin was his brother Chris Kiffin, an analyst who coached the linebackers this season. Sources confirm Kiffin has brought general manager Billy Glasscock, co-offensive coordinator and tight ends coach Joe Cox, head strength and conditioning coach Nick Savage. We talked about that yesterday. Thaddeus Rivers, the senior associate athletic director for football operations, senior director of player personnel Mike Williams, and offensive graduate assistant Sawyer Jordan. So they are with him. Kiffin also expected to bring passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach George McDonald, according to CBS Sports. Most of Ole Miss's defensive staff did not follow Kiffin, of course, we know, because Golding has been promoted to the head coach at Ole Miss. And let's see, Charlie Weiss Jr., who we saw get on the plane, right? He has been removed from the Ole Miss directory, so that tells you something as well.
So the count of assistants is what now?
I couldn't count. I just reeled off a lot of names.
Yeah, I remember heard analysts and things like that, and I started to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at NOLA.com. This is also 15 hours ago. You were at CBS?
No, I was at the Advocate.
Okay. Well, sorry,
I gave you a bunch of names there.
Well, hey, here's the more important thing. I think if you are Lane Kiffin or if you're LSU, look, all the stuff about Lane Kiffin, the sideshow, we've talked about it. That's not to say he's not a really good football coach, and not a really good offensive mind. You throw Lane Kiffin and Blake Baker together, Blake, I mean that's got a chance to be pretty lethal.
Yeah, I mean I think that it was never a doubt that he was going to be able to build a nice staff. And I think, yeah, like you could have looked at this and we said, like, when we started that show yesterday, it was all about the, the game that was being played of who's going to leave and who's going to stay. And it sounded like it got pretty tense. There was even the reports out there, of how basically Kiffin was telling them, you're either on the plane or that's it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
No
those
phones
kind
in
of things.
in the press, in the meeting, that kind of, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where I think for him to take some of them, and again, like Charlie Weiss Jr., I think that's a big one for obvious reasons. I would say that's certainly a win for Kiffin if that's how it played out, and it sounds like it did, and we saw the man get on the plane. So, I think they're not going to have any issues getting players. I don't think they're going to have a lot of issues. And I know you brought this up yesterday in terms of staff. Like, I just don't think they're going to have a lot of issues getting staff. And I know, like, personality and all that, but with the amount of money I think they're going to shell out, I feel like even if Blake Baker's not on the staff, I think they'll go out and they'll get an elite defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is what we've been saying, right? He's going to have every opportunity in the world to win multiple national championships at LSU. And I think the people and the question that's asking is, can he do it? Because as of this point, now that he's not going to be in the playoff, his team got there, but he's not going to be in the playoff this year. Still, there's no playoff, there's no championship, like none of that. And like, I feel like, Chris, this is like, and again, guys, if you want to get us just completely in real time reacting to everything that happened yesterday related to Lane Kiffin, go watch the show after you watch this and after you watch Basketball Power Rankings. Go watch the show we did from yesterday because we did not hold back.
We
our
were
thoughts.
reacting to it in real time, which was pretty awesome to get to do.
Yeah. And so that's the question. This whole thing is going to be predicated. Hey, can he actually win a championship? He'll have him in the playoff. There's no doubt about that. They'll get the talent. But can he go do what he's expected to do at LSU, and that's to win national championships? And by that, I mean multiple, probably.
Yeah, SC Scout guy, one of my favorite guys on our channel, made a phenomenal point. If you're listening, the men who took weeks to make this decision, the man who took weeks to make the decision makes his staff make life-changing decisions in 48 hours. That sums it up super well.
Look, from a West Virginia fan here, do you think he will succeed at the premier level? He failed at USC. Rich Rod left for Michigan. People like them are grinders and developers at LSU, too big for him to handle. I mean, I think you can also throw that like the other way. Like, is Kiffin too big for LSU? I mean, LSU's handled a lot of interesting personalities over the years. And I mean, Edo won the national championship. Les Miles was there, another guy, I think. But Kiffin he's different. And I think that's the biggest question. I think it's a great comment because I am not convinced that. I think, Chris, it's just because I just haven't. You mentioned earlier we're talking about candidates and all that. Like, he got Ole Miss to the playoff. That's great. Then he left the team to go somewhere else. So,
well, look, on one hand, he won 50 games at Ole Miss in 10 years, and as much as I didn't like him leaving Ole Miss and the way it happened, and I feel badly for Ole Miss, given how much is at stake, how much that meant, all that stuff aside, there is a logical part that says, okay, if he did that at Ole Miss in 5 years, he should do that and more at LSU. Life has taught us it doesn't always work out that way. I do wonder a little bit, does he have the personality to handle the criticism that is going to come with what happens when you have a 2-game losing streak? Like at Ole Miss, the media was pretty hands off him for most of his time there. And that was not unfair. Like, there wasn't that Lane Kiffin gave you in terms of on-field results that you could pick bones with. The two things that Kiffin gave you to pick bones with were how he handled Auburn and rallying all that support and money for the playoff run of 2024 that should have happened based on the talent, but didn't. And yet, after all that, I kept waiting and saying, okay, his day is going to come. Like, are people going to hold Auburn against him? Are people going to hold missing the playoffs in 24 against him? I was kind of surprised that no one did. Now, no, when you add this on, those things come back. It's kind of like when you see something that, like in a paper, a weird headline that somebody shot their dad over, like an innocent word or something. Like, there was stuff that led up to that. Those things all come back, when little things become big things like this one did. But here's my point, and my apologies for not getting to it earlier. He had a lot of leeway at Ole Miss without any real criticism. It really until just the last week or two. Do you get that at LSU? And I look at the way he handled it, Blake. I thought he handled it poorly privately. And you look at what happened with Ben Garrett on Saturday, him going after a reporter who said something, even if it wasn't politically correct, kind of had some truth to it. The way he made himself the victim. Like, here's the thing. The lens that you're under, the microscope that you're under, the criticism that you're going to be under at LSU are going to be infinitely bigger than what happened at Ole Miss. Also, the expectations are going to be playoff or bust in year one. You saw how fragile he got at the end, how petty he got at the end, how myopic he got at the end. What happens when it goes down poorly at LSU for a couple of weeks? I just don't see emotional maturity there from him that suggests he's going to handle that very well.
Someone brought up Ole Miss or LSU's schedule. They open the season against Clemson. Games we know official in terms of the dates. They'll play McNeese on October 3rd. Then it's their SEC schedule. They are at Arkansas, at Auburn, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, of course, which will be the most watched game of the season, in my opinion. At Tennessee, they're going to host Alabama, Mississippi State, Texas, and Texas A&M. It's a tough schedule, but we always say that about everybody's schedule in the SEC. But yeah, so, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, we'll see what kind of roster he puts together. I think it's going to be one of the best rosters in the country. I'd be surprised if it's not, just based on the resources he's going to have at his disposal this offseason. And then we just see if, he's like, I'm just going to go win national championships. And if he does that, everything will be fine. If he doesn't, if they lose 2 or 3 games next year, don't make the playoff or, a 10 seed or something, I think that pressure will be felt immediately. That's just what I think is going to happen.
I'm interested to see the order of the schedule when it comes out. I mean, they've got, man, that is a home football schedule. You've got Clemson, Alabama, Texas A&M at home.
Mm-hmm.
The road trips to Ole Miss and Tennessee are going to be fascinating.
Yeah. Even at Auburn, I think, is an interesting one just because we talked yesterday. I think Alex Golesh I don't think it's going to take long for Alex Golesh to get the guys he needs to be successful. So I think even that's an interesting one. So, and we don't. We don't know about Kentucky and Arkansas. I mean, we know Arkansas's got a new coach, but I'm still TBD on that hire. We don't know who's Kentucky's coach is going to be. So, yeah,
their road schedule is entirely against first-year head coaches at their school in the SEC. That is incredible. I'm sorry, Tennessee's in there.
Tennessee's
Never mind.
not.
Okay, that's 4 for 5. I mean, Tennessee could be, but I'm betting against it at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's where we stand. And I guess here's my one more question as it relates to Ole Miss. Like, what are your expectations for Ole Miss in the playoff? And I don't even mean just like from a seeding standpoint. Like, how do you think this goes for the Rebels? And I know the draw matters, but
yeah. Are they about to become America's team for the playoff?
I mean, they're not going to become America's team in Baton Rouge, but
no, but
I mean,
they weren't anyway.
No, they weren't anyways. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's interesting. And again, I guess I say that seeding will matter, but I feel like this is still a team, man. If Pete Golding
they're going to be getting a bye or playing at home either way.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be in an interesting spot. So don't know.
Yeah.
All right, chat. We turn it to you, and I'm going to put the join button in here, or the link in the chat real quick. Remember, you can join Southeastern 16, the membership here on the channel. That helps us out, support the show, become a supporter, an MVP or a legend. If you're an MVP or a legend, Sam Smith is a legend. You get lots of bonus content. You get the opportunity to even come on a show with us. And I don't think Chris has seen the suggested topic that Sam wants for his first show.
It. How could I not see that?
So
I mean, I could be aloof at times, but I'm not that aloof.
All right, Sam, you're going to have to come up with a different topic then. You're going to have to send in another topic for the show of yours.
I haven't said no
yes,
yet, but...
you have paid for your show with Chris Lee, and you've made it clear you want it to just be you and Chris. As a legend, you get to have that choice of who you want on the show with you, but you got to pick a different topic. Chris is not approving your other topic, so you've got to come up with a new one. I know you're not going to be a fan of that, but that's okay. All right, join the membership, folks. It helps us out. He was gonna call Tony V apparently to see if he could join. I think he's busy with some stuff right now.
It might be.
But in all seriousness, if you become an MVP, $5.99 a month, you get free weekly bonus content every single week. Don't worry, guys. The song's coming. The song's coming. Our ChatGPT written statement, not statement. It's a diss track from Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin. It's coming shortly. But I'm trying to get some of you guys to join in on the members. And yes. And by the way, our super chat streak has been broken right now. I don't think we've had a super chat so far. So someone needs to break the streak. 99 cents is all we need to break the streak here for the super chat. We've got months-long streak going here. If somebody doesn't send a super chat.
Where are Matt and Mother Carol today? What is going on here?
They're waiting for basketball.
Holly? Okay.
Hey, we got
Holly's
basketball.
not even here, is she?
Holly was here. We got basketball power rankings coming up in just a bit. Chris, I mean, I know it's been hectic with football, but we got a lot of people that are ready for these basketball power rankings today, and they're going to get interesting. I'm going to put the link right there. If you guys want to go ahead and hop in that one, put it in a different browser. We're going to go live in about 5 to 10 minutes for our basketball power rankings. But, yes, we're still waiting for that elusive super chat. 99 cents, I think, you can go 99 cents, folks. Somebody's got to break the streak here. So, all right. Do you guys want the diss track? Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin via ChatGPT. I'll only do it if we get a super chat. There's the rule. For now, again, I dropped the link in there if you want to join the power rankings. If you're also an MVP, our members get to vote in our power rankings each week now. So we got all of our fine members voting that compiled our ranking. I don't know our basketball power rankings. Max has got them loaded up, ready to go. We'll unveil them live here in a few minutes for the week. And there we go. The streak continues. How you doing? Of course it's how you doing.
Of course.
Coming in hot. 99 cent super chat.
What are our new favorites here?
The streak continues. I mean, how can you not appreciate how you doing? Let's be honest.
EJ.
So, all right. Big Gator just said, fine, take my money. Look at this. Asking you shall receive. $1.99 for Big Gator EJ. Sam already paying us $20 a month on the Legends tier. He's going to bring Tony, bring Tim. Now, that would be the greatest. If we really want to kickstart this Legends thing, let's get Tony Vitello and Tim Corbin on a show with Chris Lee and Sam Smith. That'd be the greatest thing in the history of the channel. So, yeah. Anyways. All right, here we go. Yesterday, I would highly suggest you go back, watch the end of that show. I asked ChatGPT to write a statement in a very bitter tone from Keith Carter. Shout out to Mother Carol, $5 super chat. We appreciate that. From Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin in response to Kiffin's statement where he basically threw Keith Carter under the bus. All right? So, now we have asked ChatGPT to give us a meaner diss track. Now, Chris, before I use this, it does give me the option. I have this diss track in front of me that I will read /sing. But it also says if you want it even more ruthless, sarcastic, or styled like a specific artist, such as Eminem, Morgan Wallen, Metallica, Lainey Wilson, or anyone else, I have that option. So if anyone wants a specific artist for us to use here, people call me Eminem all the time. Maybe that's what I should do. But you let me know, and we can filter this to a specific artist. First person in the chat to suggest an artist, we will filter it in ChatGPT, and we will turn those lyrics into that. Maybe it depends on who it is, but it does give us the option to do that. So there is your final.
Got to be the winner there, right?
Option. And it may be. We may have to turn it into an Eminem.
I mean, if you're going petty,
this one's pretty good. The one they've suggested here, but I do wonder if there's a better option. Yeah, okay. Everyone wants Eminem. All right, ask and you shall receive. We are people of the people here. All right, let's see. Here comes the diss track. ChatGPT. Oh, I don't know about that. All right, ChatGPT says, here's a mean, aggressive diss track version in an Eminem style of Keith Carter responding to Lane Kiffin's statement about Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for LSU. It includes venom, punchlines, and full-on bitterness. Boy, that is the soundtrack of my life. Here we go. It's called The Swamp. Wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. Why is it called The Swamp? Oh, okay. No, never mind. I get what they're doing here. Okay. It's called The Swamp Sellout, the Kiffin diss track. Here we go. Oh, man, I've really got to wrap this. It has actually turned into an absolute... Okay. Yep. Okay. I should not have went this route. Boy. All right, we're going to see where this goes. Turn your audio down maybe a little bit. Hold on. Let me tell Max Barr. He's got to move this back.
I got one more request when you're done with this.
Hold on. What?
No, go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's do this one first. Then I have an option for you to consider.
All right. Okay. Well, by the way, here's a comment before I start this. It says, by the way, I was watching y'all's reporting late into the night on Saturday. My mother said, I like him. He seems to be even keeled and educated. Talking about Chris Lee. And now your mother is going to be watching me do a diss track, Eminem style, from Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin. All right. Yeah, sorry. I've got to get Max to move the basketball show back. We're running a little late here. All right. Here we go. Yeah. Congratulations, man. You finally found a place where your ego fits in. Hope Baton Rouge got a big enough mirror for you. So this is like the Eminem intro where he's just talking, right? He's not even into it yet. He's just warming up. All right? Yo, you dipped quick. Visor in a backpack. Real slick. Boy, I thought they were going to rhyme it with something else that rhymes with slick. Acting like LSU's some throne you were born to sit. We built your rep. Gave you a fresh script. Turned a meme into a coach. Now you ghost. Typical Lane. We know where that was headed. You love attention. Tension. Drama to mention. This is terrible. Leave a program guessing every press conference session. Talking commitment, but you're missing that dimension. Your loyalty's thinner than your offensive retention. Oh, that's pretty good. Running down south for the cloud with your chest out, but you bail on every team soon as the check's out. Tiger fans cheer now till you stress out. Then you'll subtweet your exit. Like, guess I'm just blessed. Wow. Oh, that's pretty good. You a swamp sellout. Chasing headlines for handouts. Gassing up LSU like you won't burn that fan base out. We see the pattern, homie. It's the same damn route. Build hype, dip quick, leave chaos, stand proud. Yeah, you a swamp sellout. Nothing loyal about you. Only thing you commit is to drama around you. Oh, this is tremendous. ChatGPT, fantastic work. You treated Ole Miss like a pit stop, flip-flop, tick-tock. I don't know where that came from. Watch your rep drop soon as the swamp pop hiccups. What? This is terrible. What a terrible line that was. We held you down through the rumors and the gossip, but you sprinted for the dough like you're allergic to a promise. This is one of the worst bars I've ever heard. You love the cameras, the flashing, the narrative crafting, but deep down you ain't built for the long-run action. I don't know. This thing has gone off the rails quickly. This is a terrible, terrible diss track. You're a half-coach, half-clown show, trash talk fashion, a contract mercenary with abandonment passion. This is awful. You ain't loyal. You're allergic to roots. You bounce faster than your quarterback boot scoots. Oh,
what?
What is this?
I thought you told it Eminem.
All right, we're putting a stop to this. This is a terrible
Hey,
song.
I'm gonna redeem
Terrible.
it right here. You got to do this, okay?
Ah,
I want to see an
is a-
argument between Keith Carter and Lane Kiffin is that they're both 13-year-old girls.
oh gosh, that was, by the way, that's a terrible song. We should have.
I
We should have
mean,
done much better on this.
the
I should have
best
checked
part of
this.
yesterday was the bless your heart.
Yeah, they did do that one.
That was great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that one started okay, and it just it stalled out.
It started well,
It had
but
some
it really went off the rails pretty quick. All right, we'll have to
Come on.
get a better choice on this. All right, we'll save this for tomorrow. There's your line to come back, or for some of you to completely alienate the show. I got to go to basketball power rankings now. Yeah, boot scoots. I don't know where that came from, folks. That was a terrible line. Eminem would never say boot scoots. I would not either. But ChatGPT made us do it. We really were rolling there in the middle, though. I agree. How you doing? We were rolling pretty well in the middle. But now I got to go be a professional in the basketball power rankings. Maybe we'll sing a song over there. We'll find out. All right, we're out of here, Chris.
All
Shut
right.
this thing down.
Thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Have a great week. This is Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.